Hello and welcome, my name is Amir, and in this video, which is the beginning of a series, we are going to code the Mastermind game. Well, I believe most of you know the game, but if you're not familiar, there is a link in the description about the rules and how to play this game. I will not cover that in this video, we're just focusing on coding the game based on React. Okay. Here I have my app installed. You can do the same using the npx create react app. The next part, I'm going to remove all the unnecessary parts that we have here, none of these, and in the index.js, I don't want the CSS, not this part, and none of these, right? So then I can remove all of these parts, and this file, and this file. And I can remove whatever is here in the app.css. And if I go back, I will see an empty app, hopefully without any errors. So let me open this up, go to console, and there's no errors. Okay, awesome. If you look at this screenshot of the game, we can see that we have 4 different sections. First is this part, which is the header. We will call it the mastermind part. Then we have these rows from 1 to 10, which include a number and the guess that the user has and the hints that the other player will provide. So 10 of these. Then we have the colors that the user can click. And here is the buttons where they can play a new game or, check the row that they input. And we don't need these 2. So we have 4 different parts. So let's go and start coding. So I would go to the app.js. I will remove this part, write it as a function expression because this is my choice these days. Here we will have a return of the class name, let's say app. And in here there is another div with the class name of, let's say, board. Right? And let's say test for now. Go back, go here, and it's working fine. Okay. I will need 2 divs here because the first one will cover the whole app and the second one is a container for the whole board that we have here. Right. So let's go and define some CSS rules. I will grab some CSS rules that I wrote beforehand and add them here. This is just importing a font from Google and I'm including here in the app, and the app is a flex box with flex direction to column and align items to center, which will lead to everything being in the center here, right? And then we have some classes here for the colors, which will be used later for these colors and these colors and these colors that we have here. And then for the board, I have a display of grid, which will make the board a grid system with the width of 600 pixels, and the template columns is 4 row, 4 FR and 1 FR, which means that we need 4 fractions for this part and 1 fraction for this part, right? And the rows is auto because we don't want to define any width or height for the rows. And they have like these areas. So first row is the secret, the second row is split between rows and colors, 4 fraction for the rows and 1 fraction for the colors, and the last one is the buttons. So these are the buttons, this part is the rows, and this part is the colors, and this part is the mastermind or the secret or the header, right? So this part is done. Let's go here. I need to have 4 different components here. They are the secret, the rows, the colors, and of course the buttons as we defined them here. So they should be different components. So I will fast forward creating these components here. Right, so let's go and start coding for these parts. So the secret is just a div with the class name of secret, and we would write here the master mind, and we need to add the CSS. Okay, cool. The CSS part will have a bunch of rules. The important part is to have the grid area set to secret as we defined here, so that this matches with this. So let's go to the app, and instead of saying secret, we would say give us the secret, like so. And if we go back, we get the secret in place. Awesome. Okay, the next part is the rows. Here we will import the CSS file. So like so. If I can type today, rows.css, and then as always we define it like this, and this should return basically 10 different rows. So if we go here and go here, we will see that we are going from 1 to 10, but it doesn't matter to go from top to bottom or bottom to top. So we have a class name of, yes, rows, like so, and here we have a array of 10. First we will fill it, and then yes, we need to map it. Let's say x and I. X is not needed, and I, which is the index, is important for us. Now this will be a div of the class name row with the key that can be index. And what is this parenthesis doing here? This div is the wrapper, and let's for now say that just show us the I and add it to 1, so that it's going from 1 to 10. And of course I need to export it, so export default the rows, like so. Okay, cool. If we go back, I didn't include it in the app.js, so let's go here, and instead of saying this, we say that this is the rows component. If we do this, it will be added automatically. Yeah, so we're getting them from 1 to 10, and of course they need some styling. So let's go to the rows.css. First and foremost, we would say that rows is the grid area is rows according to the app.css, this part, right? So yeah, and then we would have just some basic stuff. So a margin on the top and a margin on bottom for these parts. So each of the rows, in the rows, a grid system with the template of 16% for the left one, 60 for the middle, and 12 for the right one. So these three parts. I would give it a height and place it in the center, give it some gap, and for now I would set the cursor to not allowed and pointer events to none so that they are not clickable. So if I save and go back, you can see that I have them from 1 to 10. Next part is the colors, so I don't need these anymore. So let me go to the colors.js. So this is just adding the CSS, just like the two others, so like so, and then we would say that the colors is just a regular div with a bunch of colors. So and for now just write the colors, then we would do something else later on. So colors, and let's go to the CSS part. The colors should be the area of colors, and the rest are just position it as grid and saying that it's 8 colors and each of them should take 1 FR. So like this, 1 FR, 1 FR, 1 FR. Give it some background and some border so it's distinguishable from the other parts. Right, so let's go to the app and change this to a component. And yeah, I have the colors here as well. The next part is the buttons. So let's go here, go to the buttons. Yeah, so this should be getting the buttons.css. Not here, sorry, in the buttons.js. Should take the CSS file, and the buttons should render 2 buttons. So return a div with the class name of buttons, which will have 2 different buttons. So button, this is let's say check, and the other one is the new game. Alright, export it. Alright, so I will grab some CSS here for the buttons. As always, the grid area is the placement, and then there are some styling to style the buttons part, and then some styling for the button itself. Now I need to include it here as well. So let's go to the, so here I would say that buttons. So we have the buttons here as well. Right. So if I go on here, I need some hover for this button. So let's add that as well. The buttons.css here. I will add 2 CSS rules, one for the hover and one for the button when it's disabled. So if I go over them, it's working fine. The last component that we are going to add is the component that will trigger when the game ends and shows that if we have won or not. So that should be something like, let's say, the button. So I will copy paste it and I will call it game ends. This will include the game ends.css and the game ends.js. this will include the game ends.css, and here we can say that return a div with the same class, and for now we just say that u1. In the CSS part, here I will just paste this. This will be positioned absolute because it will go on top of all the board, left and top, and everything is 0, and show the stuff as the grid and place them in the center. And this one is for the secret that we will reveal when the game ends. So if I go back here, say that this is game ends, like so, go, and you can see that this covers everything. So if I go here and remove it, it's just the same. Right, so this was the step 1, creating the skeleton of the game. In the next part, we will add the colors. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.